Hey guys, this is Jason Voorhees here. We're gonna be doing a little install video since we're out at the range. Picked up a Strike AK buffer. Don't know if they really help too much. I'm not a big fan of buffers just because I never really used them and I haven't heard too much feedback, good or bad, about actually buffers working good and reliably in rifles. So we're gonna be installing it here on my AK. Basically, I believe they're $9.95. They just bolt right onto the back of your AK. What this allows is when the action cycles back, what happens is this will actually hit the buffer instead of hitting your receiver or your trunnion of your receiver, and soften the blow felt back to the shooter. So it's a pretty easy install. Shouldn't be too complicated. It's just two pieces, the actual buffer itself, and then a screw and a nut. It's split, so I'm guessing this goes something like this back here, where it's kind of smooth, kind of easy, nice fitting so far, but then you just got the nut side and the bolt side, so you just pretty much, I believe, just pinch it on just like that, and that's how it stays. So we'll get our hardware here, which is basically just a nut and a screw. I did bring Loctite with, just because this is not a nylock nut, but the actual buffer itself is made of a nylon kind of material. So just stick the nut in the buffer like so. Purpose Loctite. And we drop it. And we find it. So you just apply a little bit of Loctite on there, just to keep everything held. Then take a Phillips screwdriver, you gotta seat that nut all the way down, or else it doesn't grab the threads. Make sure it's all lined up square. Actually going to put it back into the rifle just so I can make sure it's square. On the back of my receiver, looks good. And we'll finish tightening it up, and we'll give it a few rounds and see what it does. Oops, I guess you can maybe over tighten this a little bit. Yes, you can. But it's still holding, so. Obviously, you just gotta pretty much make sure the buffer, when it's on here, just when you get contact, that's about all you need. So there we have the buffer installed into the AK. Put the dust cover back on. Now we'll give it a few rounds and see what we think. Hey guys, we're going to finish up the testing here of the AK Strike buffer tube. We just installed it. I am running a Landtech brake, so that should help even more. So we'll try to see how much recoil, if there's any reduction in the felt recoil back to the shooter. We noticed that there was no muzzle rise with the Landtech brake or compensator, so we're going to see if the buffer actually helps in conjunction with the comp, or vice versa, if there's any effect on it. So we'll give her a few rounds here and see what she feels like. Well, from the initial test, before we installed the buffer, you could feel a lot of jolt in your shoulder. With the buffer, it definitely tames down the felt recoil in from the stock to the shooter. So if you want a little softer, I would say, felt recoil in your shoulder, the AK buffer from Strike actually does work, and it does help. This is Jason Voorhees for WeaponOwners.com.